Welcome to Numismatic Vault, the channel where coins aren't just spare change, they're hidden treasures waiting to be found. In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of rare and valuable Lincoln pennies. Some of these coins are worth far more than you'd ever imagine, and the best part, they could be sitting in your pocket or coin jar right now. So get ready, because by the end of this video, you might be looking at your change in a whole new way. So on. Top 1 today, we're diving deep into the story of one of America's most iconic coins, the 1963 United States 1-cent coin, better known as the Lincoln penny. At first glance, it might seem like an ordinary copper coin that millions of Americans used every single day in the 1960s, but as we'll soon discover, certain rare varieties and errors from this year have turned this humble penny into a collector's dream. So, sit back, listen closely, and enjoy this fascinating journey into what makes the 1963 penny so valuable. The Lincoln cent has a long and proud history. Introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it quickly became one of the most beloved coins in circulation. By the time 1963 rolled around, the design had already been in use for more than 50 years, featuring the profile of President Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But while the design might look familiar, not all 1963 pennies are created equal. The majority of these coins were struck in Philadelphia and Denver. In fact, billions of them were produced, which is why most people assume that the 1963 penny is just common pocket change. However, collectors know better, because hidden among the ordinary coins are special varieties and error coins that can sell for staggering amounts of money. One of the main reasons this coin has such appeal is its link to the end of an era. The 1963 penny was one of the last produced with the higher copper content before the changes of later decades. Collectors especially value coins from this time that have survived in pristine condition, untouched by circulation. A coin that remains uncirculated, with its original mint luster shining bright, can already command strong prices, but what truly makes the 1963 1-cent coin fascinating are the rare errors and varieties. Error coins occur when something goes wrong in the minting process, and instead of being discarded, the mistake slips through and enters circulation. For example, there are 1963 pennies with double dies, where parts of the design, like the letters "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty," appear slightly doubled under magnification. Collectors prize these coins because they are scarce and visually striking. Another category of rarity comes from off-center strikes. Imagine a coin where Lincoln's face is shifted noticeably to one side, leaving a blank crescent on the opposite edge. These mistakes stand out immediately and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on how dramatic the error is. Then there are die cracks, repunched mint marks, and other small variations that might not catch the eye of the average person, but to a coin collector, they represent uniqueness and value. Condition, of course, plays an enormous role. A heavily worn 1963 penny might only be worth a cent or two, but if you find one in mint state condition, especially with one of the rare errors, it could transform from a simple piece of copper into a small fortune. Collectors are always on the hunt for coins that have sharp details, brilliant color, and no signs of wear. Now let's talk about the truly exceptional finds. Every so often, a 1963 penny surfaces that has all the right ingredients: a rare error, stunning condition, and immense collector demand. These coins have been known to sell for jaw-dropping amounts at auctions, shocking people who thought pennies were just spare change. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that once sat in a pocket or a piggy bank and realizing that it's actually worth more than most people make in a year, and that brings us to the highlight of this story. While the majority of 1963 pennies might only be worth a few cents or a few dollars, the rarest and most perfect examples, the ones with exceptional mint errors and flawless preservation, have been valued at an astonishing $86,000. Yes, you heard that right, $86,000 for a single Lincoln penny from 1963. So, the next time you come across a handful of old coins, don't be so quick to dismiss that little brown cent. Take a closer look, because you might just be holding on to a hidden treasure. For collectors, history and rarity combine to turn ordinary coins into extraordinary finds, and the 1963 Lincoln penny is one shining example of that magic. Top 2. We're taking a close look at the 1964 United States 1-cent coin, the famous Lincoln penny. At first, this copper coin might look like the kind of change you'd find at the bottom of a drawer or tucked away in an old piggy bank, but don't be fooled. The 1964 penny holds some fascinating secrets, and in rare cases, it can be worth an astonishing amount of money. So, listen carefully and enjoy this story, because if you're a true coin collector, this one is for you. The Lincoln cent is one of America's most iconic coins. First minted in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it has been in continuous production for over a century. By the year 1964, the coin had already seen several changes, yet it still carried that familiar portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, with the Lincoln Memorial proudly displayed on the reverse. It was part of everyday life for millions of Americans, exchanged in candy shops, diners, and gas stations across the country. But not all pennies are created equal, and that's where the 1964 cent becomes so fascinating. The United States Mint produced billions of pennies in 1964, both in Philadelphia and Denver. Because of the high mintage, many people assume this penny is far too common to have any value beyond face. But collectors know the truth, even within such massive numbers, rarity can be hiding in plain sight. Certain varieties, minting errors, and coins preserved in pristine condition can elevate the value of a simple cent to an unbelievable level. What makes the 1964 penny so desirable is partly its timing in history. The mid-1960s marked a period of transition in U.S. coinage. Just the following year, in 1965, silver was removed from dimes and quarters due to rising metal costs. The 1964 cent, still struck in high copper content, feels like the last of an older era in American money. Collectors often look at this date as the closing chapter of a certain style of U.S. coinage, which adds sentimental and historic appeal. Now, let's talk about errors, the true gems of coin collecting. Some 1964 pennies were struck with double die obverse, meaning details like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" may appear doubled. Under magnification, these are dramatic and exciting to see. Others may show repunched mint marks, especially from the Denver Mint, where the letter D sometimes appears struck more than once. These little quirks make the coin instantly rarer. Off-center strikes are another possibility. Imagine a penny where Lincoln's profile is shifted far to the left or right, leaving a blank crescent of copper along the edge. These mistakes are very popular with collectors because they're so visually unique. There are also coins with die cracks, clipped planchets, or other striking anomalies, each one turning a common penny into something far more valuable. Condition is also everything. A 1964 penny that has been in circulation for decades may only be worth a cent or two, but a coin that has been carefully preserved in mint state, with bright luster and sharp details, can command much higher prices. Collectors especially prize coins graded by professional services as MS-65 or higher. When you combine such condition with a rare mint error, you have the recipe for a truly valuable coin. This is what makes the 1964 1-cent coin so exciting for collectors. It's a coin that nearly every American family has handled at some point, yet the special pieces, those rare error coins or the ones kept flawless for 60 years, are hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Imagine the thrill of pulling out an old coin jar, looking closely at the pennies, and realizing that one of them is not just worth a cent, but thousands of dollars, and now comes the moment you've been waiting for. While most 1964 pennies will remain as common copper change, the rarest examples, those with dramatic minting errors and perfect preservation, have reached auction prices as high as $83,000. Yes, you heard that right, $83,000 for a single penny from 1964. So next time you come across an old cent, don't dismiss it as just pocket change. Take a closer look, because you could be holding onto a piece of history, and possibly a life-changing treasure. Top 3. We're shining the spotlight on one of the most fascinating pennies in American history, the 1969 United States 1-cent coin. At first glance, it might seem like any other Lincoln penny, but this coin hides secrets that make it a star in the world of coin collecting. And if you listen carefully, you'll see why collectors around the globe chase after this date. Let's begin with a little history. The Lincoln cent was introduced in 1909, honoring the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1969, it had already been circulating for 6 decades and had become one of the most recognized coins in the world. The design was familiar, Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Billions of pennies were minted in 1969, both in Philadelphia and Denver, and that makes most of them extremely common. But as every coin collector knows, the magic often lies in the rare errors and varieties that slip through unnoticed. What makes the 1969 penny so exciting for collectors is its connection to one of the most dramatic discoveries in American coinage, the 1969 double die obverse. This variety is legendary. On some coins struck in San Francisco that year, the doubling is bold and clear. If you look at the words, "Liberty," or the phrase, "In God We Trust," the letters appear doubled in such a dramatic way that even the untrained eye can spot it. The date, 1969, itself also shows strong doubling. For collectors, this is like hitting the jackpot, because such a powerful doubling makes the coin both rare and extremely valuable. Of course, there are also other types of errors that make the 1969 penny desirable. Off-center strikes, where Lincoln's portrait is shifted to one side, create visually stunning pieces. Clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a mistake in cutting the metal blank, are another collector favorite. Repunched mint marks, die cracks, and striking anomalies can also add tremendous value to a 1969 cent condition is another key factor. A circulated penny from 1969 might only be worth its face value, but when you find a coin that has been preserved in mint state condition, the story changes dramatically. Brilliant luster, sharp details, and absolutely no signs of wear push the value up significantly. Combine such condition with a rare variety or error, and suddenly you're no longer looking at pocket change, you're looking at a treasure. What really excites coin collectors is the idea that coins like the 1969 penny could be hiding anywhere. They've been in circulation for decades, passed from hand to hand, used in shops, and tucked into piggy banks. Somewhere out there, someone might unknowingly be holding on to a fortune without realizing it. That thrill of the hunt is what keeps collectors searching. So, how valuable can this coin really be? While ordinary 1969 pennies are common, the rare varieties, especially those with dramatic double dies and preserved in mint condition, can fetch astonishing sums at auction. In fact, one of these incredible 1969 pennies has been valued as high as $80,000, yes, you heard it correctly, $80,000 for a single Lincoln cent from 1969. Imagine that, a coin you could find in an old collection or coin jar turning out to be worth more than a brand new car. That's the magic of coin collecting, history, rarity, and chance coming together in the palm of your hand. Top 5. We're diving into the world of the 1978 United States 1-cent coin, the Lincoln penny. At first glance, this coin might look like just another ordinary cent that passed through millions of hands in the late 1970s. But as we'll uncover in this video, some rare varieties and errors from this year can transform a simple penny into an incredible treasure. So if you're a true coin lover, listen carefully and enjoy the story, because this 1-cent coin is far more interesting than it seems. The Lincoln cent has always carried special meaning for Americans. First issued in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the coin became the first U.S. currency to feature a real person instead of symbolic imagery. By 1978, nearly 70 years later, Lincoln's portrait still proudly appeared on the obverse, paired with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design connected everyday people with both Lincoln's legacy and American history, and by the late 1970s, it was already an iconic piece of U.S. coinage. Now, you might be wondering, what makes a 1978 penny stand out? After all, the U.S. Mint produced billions of them, both in Philadelphia and Denver. Most are extremely common and only worth face value. But hidden among them are coins with unique characteristics, errors and rare minting varieties, that make them exciting and valuable finds for collectors. One of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting is the hunt for mint errors. In 1978, like in other years, some pennies were struck with doubling mistakes, known as double dies. On these coins, details like the word "Liberty," the phrase, "In God We Trust," or the numbers in the date may appear doubled when examined closely. These varieties are highly sought after, because they stand out immediately and are far rarer than ordinary strikes. Other errors from this year include off-center strikes, where Lincoln's portrait may be pushed toward one side of the coin, leaving part of the surface blank. Some coins may have die cracks, small raised lines where the die used to strike the coin developed flaws. There are also repunched mint marks, especially on Denver coins, where the D was struck more than once and appears doubled under magnification. All of these mistakes, though rare, add character and value to the 1978 penny. Condition is another huge factor in determining value. A heavily circulated 1978 penny that's been used for decades is still just worth a cent. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, with its original mint shine, no scratches, and sharp details, it becomes much more desirable. Collectors will pay premiums for coins that have been well preserved, especially when combined with rare errors. The highest graded examples, certified by professional grading services, are where the real money comes in. What makes the 1978 penny so exciting for collectors is the idea that these coins are still out there, hidden in jars, tucked in old wallets, or sitting unnoticed in family collections. It's possible to come across one that looks ordinary but hides a rare variety, and that thrill is what keeps coin hunters searching. Every penny has a story, and some have values far beyond what you'd expect, and now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While most 1978 pennies remain common pocket change, the rarest varieties in perfect condition, especially those with striking mint errors, have been valued at an astonishing $72,000. Yes, you heard that right, $72,000 for a single penny from 1978. Imagine finding that in your change or in an old collection. That's the beauty of coin collecting. Something so small, so ordinary, can turn out to be extraordinary. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the story of the 1978 Lincoln cent and want to learn more about other rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another discovery. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy collecting.